Hundreds of people, retirees from California heading to a Mediterranean cruise, and Dutch families flying south for an early Easter holiday, were sitting on two very different Boeing 747s. None of them knew the danger they were flying toward. This first aircraft is Pan American Flight 1736. Named Clipper Victor, she made history 7 years earlier as the very first commercial 747 to carry paying passengers. The second aircraft is KLM Flight 4805. In command is Captain Jacob Veldhuizen van Zanten. He is KLM's chief flight instructor, the man who trains other pilots to fly the 747. He is so trusted that the airline uses his face in their magazine advertisements. But the elite crews and the hundreds of passengers on board these two jets are about to be pulled together by a completely random, unrelated event miles away. At 1:15 in the afternoon, a bomb explodes inside a small flower shop at Las Palmas Airport, the busiest holiday hub in the Canary Islands. The authorities immediately evacuate the terminal and shut the airport down. Dozens of inbound flights suddenly have nowhere to land. Air traffic control funnels them toward the only alternate strip within reach, Los Rodeos, a small regional airport on the neighboring island of Tenerife. This photo shows the unique geography of Tenerife. Los Rodeos sits on plateau 2,000 feet above sea level, nestled between mountains. When warm, wet air from the Atlantic hits these slopes, it condenses into thick clouds that settle directly onto the runway. On the ground, the pressure begins to build. Pan Am's passengers are at risk of missing the departure of their cruise ship. Meanwhile, the KLM crew is racing against strict legal duty time limits. If they run out of hours, the flight is grounded, and everyone is stranded overnight. The diversion has transformed a simple afternoon of travel into a conflict between these operational deadlines, trapping two massive jets in a space where every lost minute narrows the window for a safe departure. Las Palmas eventually reopens, but Captain Van Zanten makes a decision that will cost him precious time. Assuming he'll face a long queue for fuel trucks at Las Palmas, he orders 55,000 liters of jet fuel right there in Tenerife. Look at the layout of the apron here. The KLM jet is parked directly ahead of the Pan Am aircraft. When the Pan Am crew measures the gap to try and squeeze past the fueling Dutch jumbo, they find they are exactly 12 feet too wide to make it through. While they sit trapped, the weather changes. A dense wall of mountain fog drops down over the airfield, quickly swallowing the runway and dropping visibility to less than 300 meters. This 30-minute fueling delay shifted the entire timeline of the afternoon. Without it, both aircraft would have departed the airport before the fog arrived to obscure the runway. Los Rodeos has no ground radar, and the runway centerline lights are out of service. As the two 747s finally begin to move, the tower cannot see them, and they cannot see each other. They are navigating blindly on the active runway. This map shows the path air traffic control assigned to the Pan Am crew. They are instructed to leave the runway at the third intersection, Charlie 3. But in the dense fog, the crew misses the awkward angle of the turn and continues rolling blindly toward Charlie 4. Further down that exact same stretch of tarmac, the KLM plane reaches the far end. Captain Van Zanten swings his aircraft through a 180-degree turn and lines up facing the opposite direction, pointing directly at the Pan Am jet hidden in the fog. Waiting at the end of the runway, Van Zanten asks for his ATC route clearance. The controller gives him the post-departure routing, using the phrase "after takeoff." Van Zanten hears that single word, takeoff, and incorrectly assumes he has permission to start rolling. As the massive KLM jet accelerates, the controller tells them to stand by for takeoff. At the exact same millisecond, the Pan Am crew presses their microphone button to report that they are still taxiing down the runway. Two simultaneous radio transmissions on the same frequency collide. Instead of two clear warnings, the KLM cockpit fills with 3.5 seconds of screeching static. Both vital messages are masked by the interference. Linguistic confusion, a crowded frequency, and the stress of a looming deadline combine to create a false picture of safety inside the KLM cockpit. The crew believed the runway was empty, unaware that the Pan Am jet was still directly in their path. Through the thick fog, the Pan Am crew spots the landing lights of the KLM jet hurtling toward them. They desperately throw their throttles forward to veer off the runway. Inside the KLM cockpit, Van Zonten sees the Pan Am jet turning across his path and violently pulls the control column back, dragging the tail along the concrete to force his heavy aircraft into the air. He almost makes it. The nose clears the Pan Am jet, but the landing gear and lower fuselage tear through the top of Clipper Victor, ripping its roof open. The KLM plane stays airborne for a fraction of a second before slamming back onto the runway and bursting into flames. This photo shows the charred wreckage of what remains the deadliest aviation disaster in history. The ensuing infernos consumed 583 lives. Only one person from the KLM flight survived, a 25-year-old tour guide named Robina van Lanschot. She lived in Tenerife and simply chose to walk out of the airport instead of getting back on the plane. The sheer scale of this loss was the result of a highly improbable chain of minor disruptions. A few missing feet of concrete, an extra tank of fuel, and a moment of static added up to an absolute catastrophe. The investigation forced the aviation industry to confront a harsh truth. Having the most elite, highly trained pilot in the cockpit means nothing if basic communication fails. To fix the linguistic flaws, air traffic protocols were immediately rewritten. Today, the word takeoff is strictly forbidden over the radio unless a controller is issuing or canceling a physical clearance to begin the takeoff roll. For everything else, the word departure is used. It also triggered a shift in cockpit culture. The industry developed crew resource management, a protocol that explicitly trains junior officers to forcefully challenge a captain's mistakes and trains captains to listen. The 583 passengers never returned because of a coincidence of bad luck and radio interference. But by studying exactly how that chain of errors formed, aviation authorities built the redundant safety systems that define modern commercial flight.